Right now, at this very second, there are over 5,400 aircraft capable of being airborne anywhere in the world within hours. But here's what keeps every military strategist awake at night. The United States Air Force could achieve air superiority over any point on Earth in less than 48 hours. That's not propaganda. That's cold, calculated reality backed by technology so advanced that some of it won't be declassified for another 20 years. And what you're about to discover will completely change how you understand global power. Because the Air Force you think you know, the fighter jets and bombers you see in movies, that's just 10% of the actual capability. The real power? It's invisible, it's everywhere, and it's unlike anything else on the planet. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to reveal 5 layers of Air Force dominance that most people have no idea exist. And if this opens your eyes to how modern power actually works, hit that subscribe button because we're about to go deep into the machine that controls the sky. Let's start with a reality check. Most people think air superiority means having the best fighter jets. That was true in World War II, maybe even in Desert Storm. But today, fighter jets are just one piece of a puzzle so complex that it makes chess look like checkers. The U.S. Air Force operates on 5 interconnected layers that create what military analysts call full-spectrum dominance. And here's the thing. You've probably never heard of 4 of these layers because they don't make for good action movies, but they're the reason why no country on Earth can challenge American air power and why that gap is actually getting wider, not smaller, despite what headlines might tell you. Layer 1 is the most invisible and the most powerful. Space. The U.S. Air Force doesn't just fly in the atmosphere. It controls what happens 200 miles above your head through Space Force and Space Command. Right now, there are 31 GPS satellites orbiting Earth. They're maintained and controlled by the Space Force, which is under the Department of the Air Force. You use GPS to navigate to Starbucks. The Air Force uses it to put a missile through a window from 50 miles away. But GPS is just the beginning. The Air Force operates reconnaissance satellites that can read license plates from space, communication satellites that allow instant global coordination, and early warning satellites that can detect a missile launch anywhere on Earth within seconds. Here's the part that should terrify adversaries. These satellites create what's called a space-based kill chain. The moment an enemy turns on a radar, launches a missile, or moves a tank battalion, American satellites see it, process it, and transmit targeting data to strike aircraft in real time. China and Russia know this. That's why they're desperately trying to develop anti-satellite weapons, because they understand that if you can't operate in space, you can't fight a modern war. And right now, America's space infrastructure is so vast and so redundant that taking it offline is practically impossible. This is why the Air Force can see everything, strike anything, and coordinate instantly. Because the battlefield isn't just on the ground or in the air anymore. It starts in space. Layer 2 is even more invisible, but just as deadly. Electronic warfare. This is the silent battle happening in the electromagnetic spectrum that makes or breaks modern combat. Every military on Earth depends on electronics. Radars to see, radios to communicate, GPS to navigate, data links to coordinate. The Air Force has one mission: dominate the electromagnetic spectrum so completely that enemies are blind, deaf, and lost. Meet the EC-130H Compass Call, a flying electronic warfare platform that can jam enemy communications across an entire country. When this aircraft is overhead, enemy ground forces can't talk to each other, commanders can't coordinate, and entire air defense networks go silent. Then there's the EA-18G Growler, the most advanced electronic attack aircraft ever built. It doesn't carry many missiles. It doesn't need to. It makes enemy radars see ghosts, hides friendly aircraft, and can fry electronic systems from miles away without firing a shot. But here's what makes American electronic warfare truly unstoppable. It's not just about jamming, it's about control. The Air Force doesn't just block enemy signals, it manipulates them. They can make enemy radars show fake targets, make GPS coordinates off by miles, make communications say things that were never transmitted. During the opening hours of any conflict, before a single bomb falls, electronic warfare aircraft create what's called a degraded environment. Now, let's get to the layer that combines speed and global reach in ways that redefine warfare. Layer 3 is about a capability that no other country possesses. The ability to strike anywhere on Earth with precision, power, and speed that makes geography irrelevant. The bomber fleet is the tip of this spear. The B-2 Spirit can take off from Missouri, fly 6,000 miles to any target, drop 40,000 pounds of precision-guided weapons, and return home, all without being detected by radar. But the real game changer isn't the bombers themselves, it's the refueling network. The Air Force operates over 400 aerial refueling tankers, KC-135s, KC-46s, and KC-10s. These flying gas stations create what's called persistence. What does persistence mean? It means fighter jets can stay airborne indefinitely. Bombers can loiter over targets for hours. Transport aircraft can reach any country without landing for fuel. Geography stops being a defensive advantage when American aircraft never have to land. Here's a real example. In 2001, B-2 bombers flew from Missouri to Afghanistan, a 44-hour round-trip mission, striking targets with precision and returning home. The enemy had no warning, no time to prepare, and no ability to retaliate against the launch base halfway around the world. But rapid global strike isn't just about bombers. It's also about positioning. The Air Force maintains bases in over 80 countries. Fighter squadrons can deploy anywhere in the world within 48 hours through air expeditionary wings. And once they arrive, they bring their own support infrastructure. This means the U.S. doesn't need to maintain massive forces everywhere. They maintain the ability to create massive forces anywhere. And that's a completely different kind of power. It's flexible, unpredictable, and overwhelming. Layer 4 is where information becomes power. Intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR. This is the nervous system that makes everything else possible. The Air Force operates the most sophisticated intelligence-gathering network in human history. High-altitude aircraft, like the U-2 Dragon Lady, fly at 70,000 feet, photographing vast areas with cameras so powerful they can identify vehicle types from 13 miles up. Then there are unmanned systems like the RQ-4 Global Hawk, drones that can stay airborne for over 30 hours, monitoring entire regions, watching troop movements, tracking vehicles, and transmitting real-time intelligence to commanders worldwide. But the real power isn't just collection, it's fusion. All this data from satellites, drones, manned aircraft, signals intelligence, and ground sensors flows into fusion centers where AI and analysts create something unprecedented. A real-time picture of the battlefield that updates every second. Imagine playing a strategy game where you can see the entire map, all enemy positions, their resources, their movements, while your opponent only sees a small area around their units. That's the asymmetry ISR creates. It's not fair, and it's not supposed to be. This intelligence advantage is why American forces consistently achieve objectives with minimal casualties, while adversaries suffer catastrophic losses. If this breakdown changed how you understand military power, subscribe right now, because we analyze defense technology, strategy, and geopolitics every week with this level of depth. And if you want to understand what comes next in military innovation, check out my video on hypersonic weapons and why they're changing the strategic calculus for every major power. That's the next evolution of what we just discussed. The sky isn't the limit when you control space. And America's Air Force doesn't just control the sky. It owns every dimension of aerial warfare simultaneously. That's not just dominance, that's supremacy. Thanks for watching. Stay curious about how power actually works in the modern world.